What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I figured we'd go into tomorrow's NBA games. I was going to cover tonight's games, but to be honest, it would have essentially been a split. I had the Wizards winning, and they blew it in epic fashion. The Bucks, I'm going to go into them in a second because they're an interesting one. They're 1-8-1 against the spread, so normally I'd pound them, but I want to go into them in a second. And we would have got the Cavs. So it would have been I would have picked the Kings. I had them winning. So I looked at the slate and I'm like, I probably would have finished 2-2 with the Celtics, and Kings would have been a win. Wizards would have been a loss because I liked the money line. So we would have done 50-50. So it wasn't too much we missed. We did play the Nuggets to cover as a leg 3 for 4 units. So that was a nice hit. I was really close in my video. I'm not going to act like I did. But I was really close to just saying let's go with the money line. I did think there was a good chance it was going to happen, but I thought the points were safe. So nothing wrong with that. So it's a nice, like I said, for football weekend, we broke about even as far as our hit rate, but we profited about 7-8 units just because we hit 3 of our 4 leg 3s, which is, again, leg 3 just means it's for 4 units. So tomorrow we got the in-season tourney, and I wanted to go into these games. Regarding the game itself, real quick, one of them are ridiculous ones. I think they have. So, like, to me, it's almost like a Rube Goldberg jigsaw type deal where they have plans if things don't work out. I genuinely believe the kicker was supposed to make the kick, and then they just probably had a guy out there chilling on defense in case he didn't, and then they can just call a penalty. They can call on offsides. I do think that there's not everything can be controlled for sure, so I think they were going to make sure the Broncos got that win no matter what. It just seemed that way. When the defense opens out like that, they always, especially with Josh Allen, they always like to suggest that for some reason that they're in some kind of rhythm, despite them being the same team. This is the defense we were seeing from the Broncos last year, so it's weird, but they were pushing that early on, the turnovers, how it was going to come back to bite them. So yeah, a lot of people got in live, got the money line. A lot of people played the money line, but either way, we got the cover. So that's always nice. Now, Heat Hornets. So I want to go into these games. Off the bat, I like the Hornets. The Heat are always a tough read because they have nonsensical injury reports. People that are quote injured turn out to be not injured. People that are said to have been said to be healthy or they don't play. So here you can see Caleb is supposedly out, as is Hero. And they probably won't play, but either way, I think 3.5 is light against a team that's not been too good this year. So personally, I like the Hornets in this one. Since we have a lot of plays and I have some over-unders, I'll go into the exact unit amounts in a second, but I just wanted to at least go into who I like and why. This next one, very similar. I like the Pistons to win because of the fact that, again, 4.5 seems a little light. I think of these two games, we'll definitely get at least one upset. And I don't think Atlanta is going to be that good this year. So I think the Pistons might get a little mini run going. Some of my teams, like I have the Wizards doing good this year. Obviously, they're getting pelted. So not good, but I had them making the play-in. So that one's obviously not going to work out too well. But the Hornets is looking like it has a better shot. But either way, I like the Hornets. I like the Pistons. Pacers, I like them to cover this spread because of the fact that they just got beat pretty, not bad, but I think they lost by like 9 or 10 in Philly. They're playing in Philly again. Now there's no Nick Batum. I think he's going to prove to be play a bigger role than people assume. They love to push players like Batum. If you remember Sean Marion back on the Mavs when they won their championship, I'm not saying they win the championship, but there's always a player like that can hit that corner 3. Tayshaun Prince did it. Obviously, he's way better than Batum, but play defense very well, get the hustle points. So without a guy like that, I see this being a closer game. I am going to take the points though because, again, they're pushing the Sixers as being strong. I went into this in my rankings video. That one aged really well. I basically said I thought the Sixers were going to do really well after the trade because they like to push teams, again, that have more camaraderie, in my opinion, whereas I thought the Clippers were not going to do so well because Harden's basically a walking meme at this point. So, yeah, I like the Pacers to cover this game. I think Philly's really good against the spread, but That's why I typically, that's like the first thing I look at. If a team's 8-1 against the spread, then I'm usually going to fade them anyway. Throw in the crooked line, the suspicious line, and I like the Pacers with the points. Magic Nets, I like the Magic. Same reason. Nets are like 8-2 against the spread, something like that. 8-1-1. Just not going to hold up. We're already almost a quarter into the season, so yeah, I think pretty soon. Well, we're not a quarter. We're halfway there, but still, it's coming up pretty quick. We're almost at the 20 percentile, and here's where you'll see these teams that are doing really well and really bad against the spread start to turn it around. So I like the Magic here, and I think it's a weird line, to be quite honest. Yes, the Magic are good. I think in Orlando this makes sense, but in Brooklyn, I think Cam is out or someone's out. I don't even think Cam's out. Let me see who's out. Cam is out. Okay, so with Cam out, obviously Ben makes no difference. You got Fultz out on the other side. Cam is obviously doing well, but still got Bridges, still got Claxton. I think it's a weird line. I like the Magic. Spurs Thunder, and I'm going to go into one outlier with my spread theory in a second. I alluded to it earlier with the Bucks. There's something interesting about them. Next, Spurs Thunder. I was going to take the Thunder to cover at first because I thought more people would take the Spurs, but I keep running into this mistake where I'm like, all right, people are going to take Wemby with the 8-9 points, and then they wind up winning or covering. They did it against the Clippers. They did it another time. So I was going to, again, take the 8.5 from Oklahoma City, lay those points. But I think, especially because we're getting Wemby versus Chet for the first time, I think it has to be pretty close. So they might not win, but I do think the Spurs will cover this spread. Because, again, these are the two golden boys. At least, not golden boys, but they're just two, obviously, rivals going forward that they're going to be pushing. So I think they have to make them both look good. So I like the Spurs for the cover here. Mavericks, Pelicans. I like the Pelicans to cover. For the mere fact, the Mavericks just beat them pretty bad in the Big Easy, so I don't see why people wouldn't pound the Mavericks. And again, they might be trying to send a message with the Mavs as far as they're just going to keep cremating really good teams that should be really good. That might be the case. Definitely they're going to have their certain teams that are established, but I still think it's odd. It's kind of like the Pacers, Sixers. They just played, and it was pretty lopsided. So I think this time people will be on the Mavs. I like the Pelicans. Blazers, Jazz. I like the Blazers to win. I think both teams are going to be really bad this year, and I think the value is good for the Blazers. I think Blazers can pick up games like this, and I think they might even finish. They probably actually will finish better than the Jazz in the conference. I just don't see them doing much with the Jazz. The Blazers do have some young guys. They got some guys that they are pushing. So for the value, the fact that I don't see people slamming either side, I like the Blazers. Nuggets, I like them to cover. Really, I think they're going to continue the narrative that the Clippers are going to continue to suck for a little bit with Harden. Again, the guy's like a walking meme. And secondly, without Murray, they lost to the Rockets. I think people might start fading them until they see them produce without Murray. So I like the Nuggets to cover that. I like the Warriors to cover the Wolves because the Wolves just beat them pretty well, and they kind of started a little rivalry there with Edwards and the guys on the Warriors. So I have a feeling they're gonna kind of go tit for tat, back and forth. So I'll take the Warriors to cover this. And the last one, I like the Grizzlies to win. Seems like a really weird spread. If Davis is going to be out, I imagine they'll make Jackson Jr. look really good. And again, for a team that's barely oomphed out 2 wins this year, and in those games they barely won them, to me it just doesn't make sense that they're only getting 4.5 in LA. So I like the Grizzlies for the cover. Now the one outlier, they're not playing today, but they played against, I just went into it, the Bulls, and they got clipped by half a point. Now it's the Bucks, and they're now 1-9-1 against the spread, or something like that, or maybe now they're one. I think they're 1-9-1. And what makes it interesting is obviously the numbers interesting enough, but it's the fact that ESPN put out an article saying since starting off 1-0 against the spread, the Bucks have gone 0-7-1, or it was 0-7 they put at the time. Now that was before this Bulls matchup, but since ESPN put it, I feel like it's kind of like feeding a fallacy where people are going to see that and say, oh, there's no way they keep not covering. Because it's just weird that they'd put it right out there. So I could see the Bucks actually continue because ESPN kind of planted the seeds. I could see the Bucks continuing longer than most teams, like maybe another 5, 6 games where they might not cover. So I'm gonna tread very lightly with the Bucks because of that reason. They're not putting it out there with other teams. Every day you see more of the tongue-in-cheek humor from ESPN. They literally had Van Pelt, and he does this every week. Do the bad beats of the week, and he laughs at the public who got beat bad. Like, oh, this team came back, scored 20 points in 8 seconds. All these stupid things. So it's interesting, but yeah, I think with the Bucks, obviously I always use my metrics, but I am gonna watch that one closely because it was specifically mentioned on ESPN. So as far as our plays, like I said, leg one is just one unit, as I wrote here. So the Warriors, like I went into, the Spurs, the Pacers. I am playing the Pacers under. Both teams pretty good on the over this year. Pacers are like 8-1 on the over, so I think they're finally going to go under. So I got the under 240.5. The Pels is paying almost 1.5 to 1, so I'll take that. And the Blazers were getting 180. So we got like 4 dogs. We got, I think, straight up winning. So again, we might not hit all of them, but it's really just to close out the sequences like we did tonight with football. We missed 2, but leg 2 is the Commanders. I had them beating the Seahawks. They lost for 2 units. So we made tonight leg 3 for 4 units. The Broncos cover. So that's what I do with basketball as well. So you can see a couple plus 180 here at the Blazers win. And I'm making the Pistons a plus 2. So it's going to be 2 units at plus 155, which would obviously be really nice if that one hits. The Hornets is a cover, just to specify. It's not a win. I think I went over that. I like the points. But if not, I'm going over it now. I like the points. Heat were notorious for this last year, eking out games they should barely win, so I could certainly see a very close Heat victory. On the other hand, Magic, I do like just the outright win. It's a 2.5 point spread. I do think if the Magic are that close, they will get the win. Spurs Thunder, that's going to be leg 2. That's our other one, and I'm playing that under because, again, Spurs have gone over a lot this year. Thunder are over more than they went under. Public should be on the over this game. And our last leg 2s are going to be the Grizzlies to win. Again, I like the odds. I think it seems like a trap. And then the Nuggets to cover for the 5.5 points. So we got a couple leg 2s tomorrow. Obviously, we don't need to hit them all. If we miss them, we move to leg 3 for 4 units. But we do want to hopefully close at least half of them. More than that's even, is optimal. Again, it worked out tonight, and usually it does work out. So I'll be going into, all the different plays going forward. College basketball is just at the point where we can play it. I went into, it was like around this time yesterday, maybe even like later, I can't remember when it was. And after I did my video, I was looking through college basketball. It took me forever just to find 2 games. I posted them on in my Discord and on my Buy Me a Coffee. We did hit them, so it's an early start to the season. Basically just faded Nebraska because they were 2-0 against the spread. And I think it was, we actually got that one by half, and I forget the other team, but it was 2 teams that were 2-0 against the spread versus 2 teams that were 0-2 against the spread. We just took the teams that were 0-2 against the spread. So it's nothing crazy. It's not like it's always going to work out, but it does work out more often than it doesn't. Just a little bit of alpha. One that I saw that I like for tomorrow is Iowa Creighton. Creighton they're 2-0 against the spread, so I like Iowa to cover them, and we'll see what happens. But it is a good metric, and it does work. It worked really well in college last year, so I'm hoping the same happens this year. And I will do college basketball videos. It's just obviously between the NBA, the NFL. I've been trying to do hockey. It's just they run the same time, so it's a lot of videos to get out. And then obviously going into futures and stuff like that, it can be very time consuming to try and get out the college basketball. But I will try and get them out, especially if you guys want to see them. Like I said, it was our best performing as far as people that tailed last year. It just also I know a lot of people don't care as much about college. But yeah, here's all of our picks for tomorrow. Today technically. I think we'll have a good day. Been doing pretty well, like I said. A really good week for especially, had a bad college Saturday, but basically made it back football Sunday, and it was only about 50% hit rate. It's just, I try and pick my spots and reserve the best plays for leg 3s, for 4 units, and not that they always come through. But, this week they did. this year, on the year, they've come through more often than not. And again, it's just the odds. We have to win 7 sequences for every time we lose a leg 3, because it's 7 units. And that's not including all the plus odds that we get. We get plus odds pretty often. So, yeah, I just wanted to go into all that and hit all the games for tomorrow's in-season tournament. If you want, I could do a prediction of the winner of this tournament. I don't even know. I think I might have. I can't remember. I haven't given it that much thought. But I am thinking, since it's for money, I can't imagine people saying, like, say the Lakers win. I can't imagine people saying, oh, man, LeBron James and Davis, that 500,000 is really going to help them. So I have a feeling I might go to a team where it's less of a market, and the guy that wins it, even if he gets a lot of money already, like SGA, something like that, people will look at it as more of a Cinderella story, where it's like, oh, man, SGA deserves it, because they don't look at him like they look at LeBron. So I think a team like the Thunder, a mid-team, if you look at wrestling and you have the Intercontinental Champion, that's kind of how I'm looking at the NBA in-season tournament. I think it's going to be, and as they call it in wrestling, a mid-title, and I think this is going to be a mid-championship. So I don't expect a team like that team that's going to win the championship, or even a team like the Nuggets or Celtics, that we know is going to go far, or the Warriors. I don't see one of them winning this, but I could be wrong. I'm looking at the Thunder, looking at the Pacers, your feel-good teams, your feel-good guys, Heat maybe, and I think they make a lot more sense. So we'll see what happens, and as I always say, take care and happy earnings.